Okay, so welcome everybody to this evening's Portugal Calling webinar and an introduction to Portuguese health insurance with our best buddy in this area, in this sector, Nuno Mendes from Winsurance. Good evening to you, Nuno. How are you tonight?
Thank you so much. Thank you all for having me. So I'm okay. Usually a little bit stressed to be with all of you. I wish that I have the answers that you are waiting for. So I think that the best way is follow your lead.
Absolutely. So as Nuno is indicating there, do ask your questions. Let's make this completely you-centered, our audience and our community tonight. And thank you, by the way, everybody. We just clocked over 10,000. Great news this week, Jerry and Astrid. Over 10,000 people in the Expats Portugal community. And thank you, Anna, for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, great news. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of that. And let's answer your specific questions about this after a little bit of an introduction to Nuno, who I know, I call him, he brings, he's a rock and roll of Portuguese insurance. He's wincing already. He's a bit Bear Grylls, he's a bit rock and roll. He's an amazing bloke, as you'll know if you've listened to us chatting on the morning show. So Nuno, tell us about Winsurance and actually how you got into insurance in the first place, if you don't mind.
How I got in the insurance market, in the insurance business?
Yeah, that's right. I don't think your father approved of it, did he?
At all. Go on. Because my father is the number 2 of Winterthur. It's a Swiss insurance company, and he don't want that I follow his steps. Okay. But I always have been an entrepreneur mindset, and I want to be for myself. So that's why I follow the insurance business.
So it's in the blood. And what is it that excites you about being insurance? And as I said before, you make it a lot of fun when we talk about insurance. I mean, it isn't what one thinks of immediately, that insurance is. I mean, it's necessary, but not necessarily very exciting. But you bring a passion to it that we've noted from seeing you in the morning show. So what would you say is your personal philosophy and approach to it?
It depends of how we are in the business, whatever the business. So some people are in the business because of the money, and the money, it's what drives all the business. But maybe it's because, for example, the aim of Elon Musk is put the world electric. The Apple aim is connect people. I don't know, but it's not only about the money itself. And for me, it's all about the assistance to people and solve problems, provide assistance, prevent that if something bad happen in the future, that the plan B is in place, and the people can took her life or his life on a good way. So it's about be with people and solving problems, prevent problems.
And it's interesting you should say that it's a people business. I think I might need to mute up GR's mic. I'm not sure what's going on behind the scenes there. Yeah, a people business. And I think around the world, people are used to insurance going the way of mechanization and automation and artificial intelligence and robots that pause while they're speaking to you to pretend that they're not robots and that sort of thing that we're all familiar with, and hold music, the Four Seasons, etc., etc. But I think you've got a really nice hybrid with Winsurance. You're still a people business from the point of view of being able to speak to somebody at the end of the phone, right? How important is that to you?
It's all about people. So this is business people, is not open a spreadsheet and do a quotation. It's about what are the needs, what concerns people, what are their situation, and all of us, our life changes during the years. So we have different needs during our life. And what motivates me it's be there and solving problems. Mainly is about this, it's solving problems.
Yeah. And as well as being able to speak to human beings, you do. I mean, for some people, the way the world's going, it quite suits them, doesn't it? That you can order an Uber and a pizza and go to Amazon and never have to speak to a human being. So you do offer that as well. I mean, it is. I think you've got a nice hybrid of, like, part mechanized where appropriate, and when it comes to the people connection, you're still doing that as with insurance.
Yes, I strongly believe that process must be the most automatic that we can. Mm-hmm. But then we need to hear the people, what they want, what are their standards of level of life, what concerns them. It's all about people, and we are all different. Usually with insurances, and this is not a mistake that people do, but people just can compare the cost, insurance premiums, and then maybe coverages, and I say maybe because the same coverage could be named for different words with different insurers, and the same coverage, the same name, can have different understandings for different insurers. So we need to go deep on it, and I know that it's not a fancy business, but when we are here to assist, and we try and we do effort to understand what the other wants, or what are their needs, we can achieve a good solution.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll have a little look at the range of products that you offer, and I think some people are here tonight because they've heard us talking already about this new, as you can see behind Nunu there, the incoming and welcome D7 visa insurance package, a new service that again, another problem that you're talking about, solving problems, and I think you've cracked a great problem here, the challenge of getting insurance, repatriation, and travel insurance for people, or coverage while they're here in Portugal for the D7 visa. So we'll come to that in a moment. And we do want your questions, your specific questions. Let's make this really useful on a personal level, folks. So do put your questions in the chat. One thing we could talk about, Nuno, is the mistakes people make, and I put my hands up to this, and I should declare that I am a customer of yours, having spoken to you a number of times, and then thought, okay, I need car insurance. I'll talk to Nuno. Very happy with that. For me, old Skoda truck, and our family's health insurance is with you, and very happy with what you've done for us there. But where I started, and where a lot of people I think who are here tonight could possibly start, and they might want to avoid the mistake I made, is just to take the first insurance package that you're offered in the bank, because it's nice and convenient. That's what I did. I felt like I needed some health insurance after a bit of a scare, not long after being here in Portugal. And I'm in the bank. Oh, they want to sell me health insurance, and I went for it. And got what I thought was quite useful, but I didn't do anything of what you just talked about, which was go through what they actually meant. I thought, okay, I've bought it now, everything is going to be fine. That isn't necessarily the case, is it, with the small print and the coverage?
Well, you didn't do any mistake. You just trust on the people that are in front of you. Yeah. And usually we trust on bankers, but yes. The reality is that if we look to the past years, a lot of problems happen in the bank industry. So it's not a question of doing mistakes. And I'm not entering either or yet in the coverage of insurances. But for example, people don't know that the insurer can cancel the policy. And they actually cancel the policy if people start doing claims. So, and this is something that is not on the quote, okay? Right. Also on the quote, there aren't the exclusions, and almost all of the insurance have this is excluded. And it's very simple. Just ask for the full terms of the policy and open the PDF and write exclusions in Portuguese, because if the full terms are in Portuguese, and you will be, oh, this is excluded, and also this, and also this.
Right.
And this is why the insurance business don't have a good name. Because it's when we need it that we understand that we don't have coverage for that specific situation. And once again, we don't find this on the quotes.
Okay, absolutely right. So, and you're happy to go through this with a fine-tooth comb with people, are you? If they've got themselves a quote, and you're happy to do a bit of a comparison with them with the aforementioned PDF?
Yes, because it's part of our, I don't say our job, it's part of our mission.
You're okay, and your service with that. Okay, so we are getting some questions coming in. Before we go to those, can you tell us about the breadth of your service, what you cover? Because I know you go for everything from car insurance, mundane automobile insurance, right through to fine art collections and filmmaking. I think you're pretty comprehensive in what you're able to cover.
Yes, that's right. I can say that we can provide cover for almost all of the type of insurances, because of course we work with Portuguese insurers, but we also work with international insurance and insurance in the London market, which is the crème de la crème of the
right.
of the risks. And
that's still the case, is it? That's still the case. Lloyd's of London are the crème de la crème.
Yes, correct. Lloyd's, market of Lloyd's. So yes, we cover all types of insurance, and the most mundane, like you said, like health insurance, car, property, life, and so on. Yeah. Either for people and for business. So yeah. This is what, and besides that, we try to cover gaps that we have in our offer. For example, the incoming insurance that you talk about. It was something that only one provider in Portugal have it, and is not that provider don't have this insurance for this specific situation of the D7 visa. It's a very good insurance and very expensive. So we have, through a Portuguese insurer, we did a tailor-made insurance for the incoming on inboarding situation, which requires repatriation coverage, medical emergency expenses, no deductible, COVID-19 coverage, and with a limit per person of 30,000 euros.
Okay. So tailored specifically for the D7 market, which is great. So I'm sure we'll go into that further with people's personal questions, which we'll get into now. I will deal with these in chronological order, and I'll try and group things together as the webinar goes on. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. Do let us know as well where you're tuned in from in the comments, and what your timeline is for being here in Portugal. Always good to know as well. When do you plan to be here? Because I noticed a lot of people are bringing their plans forward to get here to Portugal recently. Okay, Matthias, thank you very much. What is covered with the standard public health insurance, and why would I need an extra insurance as a Portuguese citizen resident? Now, by that, do you mean, Matty, the public health system, and why would you need extra health insurance? I'm going to take it that it means that. Why would somebody like Matty, for example, want to take out health insurance at all? This is after D7, when it's not a governmental requirement. But why would anyone want to take out private health insurance? And of course, people from the United States are used to doing this, and they will be very surprised at the big differences that they will learn about this evening. But somebody from Europe, for example, or the UK might not be used to taking out private health insurance. Why would you do that here in Portugal if you don't need to?
Okay, so maybe you don't need it, but maybe you won't have it. Okay. So, and why I'm saying that, it's known that Portugal offers a very good service or healthcare, or has a very good healthcare system. But this healthcare system has problems. And there's when the private health insurance is important. For example, it's known that we have problems about the too long waiting lists. Yeah, maybe 6 months, maybe 2 years long, and we know that there are diseases that we just don't have time to wait. We need to solve straight away. So this is one of the biggest problems. The other is related with the type and the quality of the healthcare through the public hospitals. And if we need a surgery, and this is a point that is worse if we need to stay more and more time in the hospital, because if we need a surgery, we stay on a common, usually on a common room with 6, 8, I don't think, maybe more people, with a shared bathroom, and the visitors of the others coming visiting to me, and so it could be a not a good way of staying in the hospital for recovery. Okay. So this is other point. So the first one is the quicker response. So through the private hospitals, we can access very quickly to a consultation or for surgeries, and also on the private sector, private hospitals which stay on a single, usually on a single room and a private bathroom. So okay, those are the two main points. Not only these, but the two main points.
Two main points, okay. And we should say that the Portuguese health system is excellent by world standards, of course. And this is an additional level of care and luxury, you could say, that you're adding by having private health insurance. Okay, so Matty, let us know if that satisfied that question from you. Jennifer's here as well. Hi, Jennifer. I plan to live in Portugal for 2 years, and my husband has diabetes and needs insulin to live. How do we get that on a D7 visa? So I suppose, I mean, we don't want to have people confused here. The D7 visa, of course, is the route in, or a route in, and a visa route coming in, and health insurance is something separate once you live here. And I think there's another question that relates to that. But there is an insurance requirement as part of the D7 process. So we're sort of disentangling that for you there, Jennifer. I think the D7 visa health insurance policies, product service that Nuno's coming up with is just to help you get into the country. And when it comes to your husband having diabetes and needing insulin to live, I suspect that's an entirely separate matter. And that will be a health policy that Nuno can negotiate for you. Now, we come back, of course, there to exclusions. Do you have experience of working with people with diabetes and how that would maybe covered appropriately with your health insurers, Nuno?
Yes, we have solutions for that.
Okay, for people living with diabetes.
Yes, with pre-existing health conditions.
Okay, all right, because that is a big worry for people with pre-existing, but obviously that requires a conversation, and we will put the contact details to get in touch with Nuno and have those private conversations into the chat as well. So Jennifer, come back to me if that needs more clarity, please do. Jeff, in Vegas, what about renters insurance? I'm changing the subject for a moment then. Do you do renters insurance? I understand that renters are sometimes responsible for issues that occur inside their rental. And that, again, I suppose can become a very personal situation and is a lot to do with the terms and conditions of your lease and rental agreement. But can you provide such a thing if something does go horribly wrong with a rental? Is there an insurance policy that you can put forward for that, Nuno?
Yes, in Portugal, we don't have too much solutions for that, but we have solutions either in the position of tenant as in the position of landlord, because some people buy houses and then rent to other people.
Okay. So but you do offer, you can offer
Both.
some policy for both sides of the counter.
Correct.
Or both sides of the door. We'll see in instance.
Correct.
There you go, Jeff. It is doable. Now, the other question of ACP is coming up here, and this is an interesting one that might require a little bit more of a further examination beyond this webinar. But Lowell, let's start with Jeff and Nina. I'm looking into ACP. That's the Automóvel Club de Portugal membership, which also offers health insurance. The coverage seems broad but not deep. I think that's probably quite a good analysis and the sort of insurance cover you might get with credit cards and bank accounts and so on. Any comments or experience? There's more on this, Nuno. How does ACP insurance work with other insurance? And Stephen, thank you as well, was very curious about the ACP program as a supplement. It's a good question. So is that how you would see it? I mean, are you allowed, I mean, first and foremost, are you allowed to have as many insurance policies as you like? And are they supplementary to each other in the way that Stephen describes there?
Yes, but we need to balance the interest of that versus the cost of the money that we put on that protection. Yeah. So, and asking regarding ACP, I believe that, and Javiera maybe can confirm that. Hello, Hannah. I believe that that ACP starts as road assistance.
Yeah.
And then, so the business have development, and they are also brokers, insurance brokers. Yep. So that's what they do, but in a more massive way.
Yes. Yeah, and I think you're right. It's supplementary, Stephen, to the main product that you're buying, which is roadside assistance and breakdown with ACP. And of course, they do offer an incredible range of extra services to make their offer attractive to you, which we promote and support. But I think in this instance, with the business of health insurance, it's probably good to be seeing it as a supplementary rather than as a main event. And of course, again, you can talk to Nuno about the specifics because they will vary from person to person. Take your package of considerations or what you're already in for, what you're paying for. Because as well as ACP, your bank account might offer a little bit of a sweetener with insurance. Your credit cards might. All sorts of companies are adding that as a supplementary, aren't they? But I think it's important to have to see the health insurance as a health insurance product first and foremost. And we welcome more questions on that. Okay, so I hope that helps Lowell and Stephen there, and Jeff and Nina. If it doesn't, do keep asking in the comments. And a bit later on, we'll go, if it's not clear, we'll go to a free-for-all hands-up session as well. Okay, this is interesting. Great question, Lowell. I'm also wondering if there's a waiting period for insurance to take effect. This can happen, Nuno, right?
Yes, happens all the time.
Right.
All times. So the waiting period or grace period, some people refers on one way, others like grace periods. It depends of the insurer, and it depends of the coverages. Mm-hmm. I'm going to talk in a generic way, okay? So usually the waiting period for normal issues like treatments and consultations with a doctor is between 60 and 90 days, this waiting period. But if it's for surgeries, usually is at least 6 months, okay? Usually. Then for childbirth could be, there are an insurer that has like for waiting period, 540 days for childbirth. So okay. It depends sense. Of the insurance.
Just quickly doing the maths on that, but they don't want you to suddenly sign up and get coverage. Okay, so there are waiting periods, and again, it's going to vary policy to policy, person to person. But yes, Lowell, you're right in seeing that. Go on, you wanted to add more there, Nuno?
Yes, because some people confuse the waiting period with having no coverage. This is not true. Okay, so the waiting period is the period that we need to have the policy on at its full benefits. Okay, but usually, once again, it depends on the insurer. But usually, we can find in the market insurers that offers no waiting period if medical assistance is needed due to an accident.
Okay.
Also, there are insurers that offers during the waiting period, like a discount plan, are costs that are agreed between the insurer and the medical providers, that instead of paying, for example, for a consultation, 18 or 20 euros, that people pay 50 or 60 euros rather than the normal cost of 100 or 120 euros. So
okay.
it's not a situation that during the waiting period, people are covered. This is not true. Okay, people are covered, but not at the full benefits of the insurance policy.
There you go,
the waiting periods.
That's really helpful, Nuno. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, a good and big question here from Bob and Viv. Good evening to you. We have received conflicting information on private health insurance for us due to being in upper 60s. I'd never have guessed that. Is that an issue, upper 60s? We have friends coming as well who have the same question. So yes, for this demographic, I will refer to it as 60 plus. Is there an issue, and can you help with it?
Yes, we have solutions for that, but usually what you will find through banks are like discount plans, okay. Not actually a health insurance. But yes, we have an agreement that allow us to insure people above 60s.
Okay. Oh, actually. Now you mentioned that, because you in the answer to the last question, you were talking about, we can find an insurer. Now because we didn't talk about that at the start. I know you have your favorites, and obviously there will be companies who you prefer to work with, who you're used to working with, and whose policies you like. But you are a broker who can get the best deal. You're not attached to any particular company.
Right. I'm not attached to any company.
That's good to know. That is good to know. Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so there you go, Bob. Oh, sorry, no. Go on.
And usually we present different quotes and put in red the main points that we need, or I understand that are the people need to look at. So yes. People can choose between the two. What need is that the decision must be made through knowing what are in place. So I need to choose between the two, knowing the differences between them. So it's a aware decision.
All right. The floodgates have opened. The questions are coming. This is what normally happens. There's a real spike in the graph of incoming questions, and I'll do my best to get to all of them. Mary, you were saying, what is the name of the health insurance you recommend with no age limit? I think we've covered it there, haven't we? I mean, basically what we're saying is that talk to Insurance, and they will find the particular policy and company to work with, Mary. I hope that helps. And Amin, thank you. Amin, very good to have you here. Would appreciate getting clarity on the best approach on insurance for the D7 purposes, and then what is recommended once residency is granted. Okay, so tell us then about this incoming and welcome service, please, and why it's needed, maybe, Nuno, and then what we do after that, because they're not the same thing. I mean, once you've got here, you're going to need a different service, aren't you?
Exactly, correct. So there are requirements by the Portuguese government. There are two requirements regarding insurances. Actually, regarding coverages. One is the repatriation coverage. The other is medical expenses coverage. But this is a big issue of the Portuguese culture, and this is a point that I want that we are German rather than Portuguese. It's because it's because there are the Portuguese government say that very clear. It's on their web page. Yeah. What are the requirements? But then different embassies, consulates, Portuguese embassies, Portuguese consulates have different understandings. Yeah. And so they usually what people transmit to us is that the embassies or the consulates requires them a health insurance, a comprehensive health insurance, and also a travel insurance. Why travel insurance? Is because the repatriation coverage is one of the coverage of the travel insurance, okay? But in the webpage of the Portuguese government, you will not find any mention to travel insurance, just to repatriation. But we are Portuguese. I'm so sorry. This is one.
No, don't apologize. I think the point to make there, and it's a very interesting scale from German to Portuguese, and Portuguese is probably somewhere in the middle. To be fair, isn't it? I don't think it is the most bureaucratic country in Europe, and certainly it's. And you're also right. It's not at the Swiss-German end of things either. I think it's fair to say, and the best way to see this, in my experience now, is as a process. It's not like you can tick a box and it's all done. You have with this whole migration adventure. It has to be seen as a journey, as an adventure, and as a process where you are in conversation and checking things with people. And there are little twists and turns, plot twists to be expected. But that's what we're here for, to help you with those plot twists and turns. So that's a really nice way of putting it, Nuno. And it looks like you've come up with something that deals with those requirements and also deals with maybe some of the interpretations that people might encounter at embassies. Are you there to back people up if required?
Yes. At all, perfectly. Yes, yeah. But regarding the first question or the initial question, usually what people need for the D7 visa is this incoming insurance, and because the embassies also ask for the health insurance, usually they also need to make proof that they have a health insurance. Yeah. The problem is that people are subscribing the health insurance without being in Portugal, okay? Yeah. So they can't use the insurance policy. But this is not a huge problem because we have the waiting periods. Mm-hmm. So even people that will be in Portugal in 1 or 2 months are subscribing health insurance with 3 months before arriving. Okay. So when they arrive, most of the waiting periods are already gone, and the policy is into its full benefits. Okay.
Right. Okay. Good to know. All right. Thank you for that. Anything else you want to say on this, on the new product or service that people should know about before we move on?
Well, it's a specific insurance. It's a temporary insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. The territorial scope is Portugal, so it's for all the ones that are coming to Portugal, not only for the D7. If people are coming for tourist purposes, can buy this insurance. Okay. So yes, and what is covered is the repatriation to the country of origin, medical emergency expenses, no deductible, COVID included. The limit that is insured is 30,000 euros per person. There are no limit of age. So someone with 100 years old can be insured through this specific insurer. one of the advantages of this is that who ensures that the provider is one of the main travel insurers, Portuguese travel insurers. Okay. So with a call center 24/7, 365 days a year, the call center also provides lines in English. So
yes, I was going to ask you that.
Not a problem. And they have a huge network of assistance in case you need it. So this is not the usual travel insurance that reimburse for the loss of luggages and plane tickets and travel cancellations. Is not a travel insurance, okay? It's for the purposes that I talked about.
The D7, and that's. I was going to ask you that, because if you're here on your D7 visa, ideally you would, and we recommend people learn the language for sure. But when you're stressed and when you need help from your insurance company, it's really reassuring to know you can speak to somebody in English. And that extends, of course, to if you're dealing with Winsurance. As you can see here, we're talking with Nuno, and the office at Winsurance are able to speak to you in English as well, which is very reassuring. That's not to say you shouldn't learn the language. We're talking to Philomena in the morning, Philomena Friday on the show tomorrow, and we'll be singing in Portuguese as well as talking in Portuguese. But at those times, that hasn't come as good news to some people. But those times when you're stressed and in need, it's good to know that those helplines are available with English speakers as well. So thank you for that. And then the other part of that question was, that was from, oh, forgive me, I can't remember who asked that. But, oh yeah, then once you're here successfully, talk to Nuno again and get a quote for health insurance ongoing. That's what you need to do. So as soon as you're here on your D7, it's all been successful, and you become a resident, you'll be looking at a different health insurance policy, and you can talk to Nuno about that. Shiva, I would say maybe talk. I think we'll probably do sort of 10 or 15 minutes more general questions, and then Shiva, come back maybe with a hands up question on that, because that's quite specific. Oh, Mary, we're neighbours. Nice to see you here, and Heather, thank you, in from New Zealand tonight. That's brilliant. Oh, and Base Orbit and Swara here as well, enjoying themselves in Ericeira now, which is fantastic news. And Alex, I have D7 travel insurance to cover my current initial 4-month stay, but understand that full private health insurance is a requirement for my CEF interview. Now, I think we've covered that with the product as well. But again, Alex, if you want to chat to Nuno, I have put the link to do that in the comments and chat now. Anna, thank you for that input. We only value the insurance once we need it, and we are not to need it. It's that sort of spending, folks, isn't it? Glad to have spent all that money and not used the service. Is there an easy way to determine if the meds I take in the States are available to me in Portugal? That's a really great answer from Anna again, to go to the InfoMed site. And this is perhaps where we should mention Serenity as well. We suggest that you have a chat with both Serenity and Winsurance and maybe work with them in conjunction with each other. But would you refer that one to Serenity, Nuno, about finding out the equivalent medications?
Yes. We are finding more and more together, Serenity and us, because sometimes people contact Serenity, and because they need health insurance, the Serenity talk with us, and also people that have health insurance with us usually ask for very specific situations regarding health or medication or case management, and we always put them in contact with Serenity.
Yeah, and we're delighted to have made the acquaintance of Serenity actually for that purpose alone. If you have specific health needs, I mean, very extremely rudely healthy people are finding Serenity useful. I have done myself. But when they really come into their own when you've got particular or special needs around your health, and they are a case manager concierge system, who you'll find in our business directory as well. So you can talk to Michael and the team at Serenity there, and maybe do the double whammy of Serenity and Winsurance as well. So possible to give any indication of costs for a mid-level health insurance? Understand it will be impossible to give firm values. Thanks for that, Joe. Age will make a big difference. But what to expect in approximate terms? 100 euros a month, 200, 500? Can you give any sort of indication with that? Maybe a family, I don't know, a couple?
It depends a lot of the age and coverage and limits, a lot. But I should say that maybe it costs 10% of what are the costs in US.
Okay. That will come as good news. I'm coughing there, just hearing that. So 10%, roughly speaking, of what people are used to paying in the US. So that's quite a good guide, isn't it? Because obviously that will be a percentage, and it'll be, the age will be the same and the conditions will be the same, but 10% of the cost. That's a really good guide. Come back to us, Joe, if you want to know any more. Good question from Matty, who is from Germany. And so he works in complementary alternative therapies. And with some of the all singing, all dancing health policies, how open-minded is the Portuguese health system to those other sorts of therapies, the osteopathy, herbalism, chiropractic, and that sort of thing, Nuno?
Okay, there are in Portugal 5 alternative therapies legally recognized. Yeah, and those are considered by the health insurances, and they pay for that, okay? But also, some insurers had developed well-being sort of network, and on that well-being network are very different specialities of that acts on the preventing healthcare way. Okay, so yes, insurances are giving coverage to those situations.
All right, thank you very much for that. So yes, an openness to the complementary and alternative therapies, it would seem there, Matty. Wouldn't it be great if we could refer people to you, or if you get some business that with your pain management system? Okay, Bruce, thank you for this. If it typically requires 6 to 12 months for private insurance to provide full coverage, then what is the normal approach for newcomers to Portugal? Use the public health system for a year while you wait for the private coverage to take effect, or what? And I suppose you come back to parts of the policy will be available straight away, and there will be waiting times on other aspects. So is that a good way to look at it from Bruce's point of view? Is that you would see yourself relying on the public health system until everything kicks in?
For all that comes abroad, maybe think that way. But we in Portugal, we have the health insurance as the plan A, not the plan B. Okay. So because what we are saying until now, that there are covered besides the waiting periods, the insurance policy is in force since day one, but not at full benefits. For minor things, maybe, for example, minor things, a consultation. I prefer to pay 50 or 60 euros for a consultation rather than wait 3 months for it and then spending all day long for the consultation. I just don't have time for that.
Yeah, okay, so you get that benefit immediately.
Yes, but if this is for a consultation, but if it is for a surgery, an expensive surgery, I should think on the reverse way. Maybe I let's see to the public system besides the staying with a shared room and so on. But it depends of how much everyone can and want to spend.
Okay. All right, Bruce, hope that helps. We will go to some hands up questions in a little while anyway. So if anything isn't clear to anybody, you'll get another chance to ask your questions. Don't worry about that. And let's go to, I think, oh, that was Alex helping Joe out there. That's really helpful, Alex. Thank you very much for that. Co-pays. Now, I don't know what this is, and I'm sure you do, Nunu, but good evening, Tammy. How do co-pays work with your policies? And she gives an example, but is that something that will work, co-pays?
Yes. Co-payments are the amount that we must pay every time you use the insurance policy. For example, the normal co-payment for consultation, it goes between 18 and 20 euros per consultation. So every time we have one, we must do this payment. The remaining payment will be between the insurer and the medical provider.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there you go, Tammy. And a good technical question from Steve here. If you take the D7 product and then move to the resident product, do the exclusion times reset, or is the second policy an upgrade and thus the date is still the start date of the initial policy, if that makes sense? Or are they two separate products?
I'm so sorry, I didn't understand.
Steve, if, for example, you take the new incoming and welcome product, you successfully get your residency, and then you take out a new health insurance policy as a resident here, are they connected in any way? As in, in a way that a no claims bonus might be. Does the second insurance policy take into account the first one, or are they entirely separate?
Entirely separate.
Okay, so afraid not, Stephen.
And the incoming insurance is required for the duration of the stay until people achieve the authorization or the D7. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you're up against a reset there. Tammy's happy with that, which is great. Questions about SNS. Let's talk about SNS after we've finished the recording here, as well as discounts for premium members of the group as well there. Let's see, any more that we will do in this situation? Stephen, I hope that helps. If that didn't clarify things for you, do let us know. Oh, one other howler that happens that people should be aware of, Nunu, like a mistake that gets made, is some people they bag themselves what they think is a really nice, cheap health insurance policy, and it ends up just being a discount card. That happens, doesn't it? So again, it highlights the fact that you really need to know what you're dealing with before you sign your name over and start paying a direct debit.
That happens a lot because people sell like has health insurance.
Yeah.
And once again, for minor things like consultations, okay, rather than paying 20 euros, people pay 50. Okay, but if someone face surgery of thousands of euros, then that's when people knows the difference between a health insurance and a discount card.
And a discount card there. Okay, so don't make that mistake. Don't be that guy who does that. So thank you very much. We'll be switching off the recording for the moment, and then going to more personal questions. Unless, of course, I've missed anything, Nunu. Thank you so much for responding to this particular situation and creating a product for the D7 visa. Anything that people need to know that I've missed in asking you this evening? I think we've done it, haven't we? Anything I may have missed, or that Nunu that you want to add?
No, not regarding this.
Okay, brilliant. Okay,
because
so
we cover the incoming insurance and the health insurance.
Yeah.
Answer to all. So I believe that we covered all.
Okay, thank you very much. So if you want to speak directly to Winsurance, to Nunu and the team, go to our business directory /Winsurance. It's in the comments, it's in the chat, and we'll end the recording there for this evening. We'll go to your personal questions now.